Hi there, and welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Explained. This is a video series where we explain the massive conspiracies going on in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't seen our previous videos, we suggest watching those first. So let's continue on with Eddard 3, A Game of Thrones. This chapter is 3,321 words long, and is told from the perspective of Eddard Stark, who was 35 years old at the start of A Song of Ice and Fire. In this chapter, Arya and Joffrey tell King Robert very different stories concerning their fight near the Trident. When Sansa claims she does not remember, Queen Cersei demands the death of a direwolf. With Nymeria gone, Lady is sentenced to death instead. After 4 days of searching, Vayon Poole comes to Ned with news that Arya has been found unharmed. Ned is relieved that it was Jory Castle who found her rather than Queen Cersei's men. Unfortunately, the Lannister guards at the gate informed the Queen, who had Arya brought directly before King Robert. Ned rushes to the audience chamber of nearby Castle Darry, which has been hosting the King's party during the search. However, House Darry are not friends of Robert. The royal party had made themselves the uninvited guests of its lord, Sir Raymond Darry, while the hunt for Arya and the butcher's boy was conducted on both sides of the river. They were not welcome visitors. Sir Raymond lived under the king's peace, but his family had fought beneath Rhaegar's dragon banners at the Trident. And his 3 older brothers had died there, a truth neither Robert nor Sir Raymond had forgotten. Ned is dismayed to find the chamber full of people, preventing a private and amicable solution. Ned notes that very few in the crowd are likely to be sympathetic to the Starks. Most are either Lannister men or loyal to Lord Raymond Darry, a prominent Targaryen loyalist. However, Ned is relieved that neither Jaime nor Sandor are present. Arya apologizes to him as she cries. Ned turns angrily to the king, demanding to know why Arya was not brought to him first. Queen Cersei bristles at his tone, but Robert apologizes, explaining that he only wanted to finish the business quickly. Cersei then accuses Arya and Mycah of ambushing Joffrey with clubs while setting Nymeria to tear off his arm. When Joffrey affirms this, Arya calls him a liar. Then the king listens to Arya's side of the story. When she got to the part where she threw Joffrey's sword into the middle of the Trident, Renly Baratheon began to laugh. The king bristled. "Sir Barristan, escort my brother from the hall before he chokes." Lord Renly stifled his laughter. "My brother is too kind. I can find the door myself." He bowed to Joffrey. "Perchance later you'll tell me how a 9-year-old girl managed to disarm you with a broom handle and throw your sword in the river." When Joffrey recounts a very different story, King Robert is exasperated. Ned reminds the king that Sansa was also present and has Sansa brought in to testify. However, Sansa, torn between her family and her love for Joffrey, claims she doesn't remember. This infuriates Arya, who lunges at Sansa. Cersei uses this as an example of how wild Arya is, and insists she wants Arya punished. King Robert, even more exasperated, orders Ned to discipline Arya while he will discipline Joffrey. Unsatisfied, Cersei demands that Nymeria be killed and offers 100 gold dragons for her pelt. However, since Nymeria has disappeared, Cersei demands the skin of the other direwolf. When Ned protests, Robert only responds that a direwolf is not a pet and that the girl would be happier with a dog. Sansa finally realizes that they are talking about her direwolf and goes crying to Ned. In a final attempt to save the direwolf, Ned insists that the king executes the wolf himself, but Robert only walks away. Ned refuses to let Ilyn Payne do the task. When Cersei voices suspicion about Ned's intentions, Ned replies that the direwolf is from the north and deserves better than a butcher. With Sansa's cries in his ears, Ned goes to Lady, and he sits beside the wolf, waiting for his sword. Ned considers the names his children chose for their wolves, and finds that Sansa chose a good name for her well-behaved wolf, and the deed is done. Ned commands 4 guardsmen to return Lady's body to Winterfell for burial, insisting that Cersei will never have her skin. As he is returning, Sandor Clegane and his riders come back from the hunt. Clegane states that while they didn't find Arya, they did find her pet and drops a corpse at Ned's feet. As he bends to uncover the corpse, Ned wonders how he will tell Arya. However, rather than Nymeria, the body turns out to be Arya's friend Micah, cut down from horseback. When Ned states that Clegane ran the boy down, the burned man responds, "He ran, but not very fast." And this is where Eddard 3, A Game of Thrones ends. However, we find out later in Eddard 7 that Robert actually knows Arya told the truth. "I am sorry for your girl, Ned. Truly. About the wolf, I mean. My son was lying. I'd stake my soul on it." Then, in Davos 6, A Storm of Swords, we learn from Stannis that one told Joffrey the boy that she had kittens in her belly, thinking he might want one. Joffrey opened up the poor thing with a dagger to see if it were true. When he found the kittens, he brought them to show his father. Robert hit the boy so hard, I thought he'd killed him. Anyway, that's about it for Eddard 3, A Game of Thrones. In the next video, we'll cover Bran 3 and continue from there. In the meantime, here are some of the differences between the HBO TV show and book. In the book, Arya is missing for 4 days. When found, she is taken before Robert. It doesn't take place at Castle Darry, but at an inn at the crossroads. Jory, who finds Arya in the books, not Lannister soldiers. In the book, when Sansa lies that she does not remember what happened, Arya knocks her down to the ground, beating her. In the show, Renly is not present, and it's Robert who scolds Joffrey for letting a little girl disarm him. In the show, Eddard executes Lady with a dagger. In the book, he uses the great sword Ice, and Robert initially complies to Cersei's demand that Lady be killed in place of Nymeria. However, when Ned beseeches him to reconsider, invoking his sister Lyanna, Robert turns back towards Cersei and curses her. Ned also goes on to tell Robert to do the deed himself. But Robert walks away in shame. In the TV show, Ned protests against killing Lady, but he doesn't invoke Lyanna's name, and Robert shows no concern for Lady or Sansa before the former is killed, nor does he express any remorse later on. In the TV show, Eddard doesn't order Lady's body be taken back to the north. In the books, the Hound tosses Micah's body in front of Ned, while in the show, Sandor doesn't stop nor talk to Eddard when he brings the body. Furthermore, Lady was killed before Eddard sees Micah's body in the book. The order of the events was swapped, and in the show, Bran doesn't have dreams about the three-eyed crow before he wakes up in the show. Meanwhile, in Bran 3, these crow dreams wake him up. In the TV series, he wakes up when Sansa's direwolf is executed. The book does not indicate any connection between Lady's death and Bran's awakening. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you want to see more of A Song of Ice and Fire Explained, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, when you get the chance, try out Fantasy Flight's A Game of Thrones board game, digital edition.